Welcome to Actual Fandom. Star Trek Strange New Worlds follows Captain Christopher Pike and the crew of the starship USS Enterprise as they explore new worlds throughout the galaxy during the decade prior to Star Trek, the original series. For those of you who aren't, super knowledgeable on the lore of Star Trek, Captain Kirk was not the original captain of the Enterprise. Prior to that, there was Captain Pike. And so if you go back and watch the original pilot for Star Trek, the original series, Captain Pike was the one that was commanding the Enterprise. Then they, the network didn't really love that pilot, so they retooled the series and did a second pilot, and that's where they brought in Captain Kirk. But the way that they've done that in Star Trek lore is to say that, well, no, that actually happened. That first episode did take place, and Captain Pike was the captain prior to Captain Kirk. This cast of these characters first appeared in Star Trek Discovery Season 2. The first series finale of Star Trek Discovery set up the second season by introducing the USS Enterprise, the starship from the original series. Then showrunner Aaron Harberts wanted to explore Enterprise Captain Christopher Pike, feeling that he had not been seen much in Star Trek previously. A new actor was also cast for Spock, that is Ethan Peck. Captain Pike is played by Anson Mount, who you might maybe realize was also Black Bolt in that terrible Inhumans show that nobody watched, and the people that do realize it's pretty embarrassing. But both of these guys have done a great job in these roles in Star Trek Discovery Season 2. Their presence really lifted that show. Like, I don't hate Discovery Season 1 like a lot of people do, but it's definitely, like a lot of Star Trek shows, it took a while to get its legs under it, right? And Season 2 was a big step up from Season 1, in large part because they introduced this Enterprise crew with Anson Mount as Pike, Ethan Peck as Spock, Rebecca Romaine as Number One, who apparently her name is Una, which I did not realize that. I don't know if that's a new thing or what, but yeah. So this is the kind of spinoff of that season of Star Trek Discovery, where we see the continuing adventures of what happened with the Enterprise, Pike, Spock, Number One, and a whole bunch of new characters after the events of the season finale of Season 2 of Discovery, and it's really, really good. I think that this is probably, I don't even know many people would argue this. In my opinion, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is the best series premiere of any Star Trek show, period. Star Trek is kind of known for, often its first season or two, the series don't tend to gel until they kind of get, like I said, their legs under them. They kind of figure the characters out. They figure out the flow and the tone of the series. Star Trek The Next Generation is kind of known for the first couple of seasons being not so great. So Strange New Worlds off to a great start. So Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the first episode is called Strange New Worlds. First thing I noticed about it is very cinematic, like the opening shots where it shows Pike and he's kind of semi-retired. He's riding horses out in the snow and stuff like that. Very cinematic look and vibe to it. And Anson Mount is just awesome. He's awesome as Pike. I think he might be maybe my favorite captain, other than Picard, but he's more fun than Picard. Like, he's just got a good presence to him. Like, he's kind of lighthearted, but he's very wise. He's kind of got this jovial presence about him. He seems to make everybody feel comfortable, and that's just a really cool vibe for Starfleet captain to have. So the events that take place in Star Trek Discovery Season 2 really messed with Pike's head. And if you watch that season, he saw his future. And if you know what happened to Pike in the original series, later on in the original series, we see Pike again, and he's kind of enveloped in this black medical tank thing, like only his head is visible and his face is kind of all melted and stuff. He's clearly been injured. And in Discovery Season 2, it shows you what happens to him. He sees his future by touching like this Klingon mineral that shows you your future. And not only does he see his future, he experiences his future, where at some point in the future, he knows that there's going to be like an accident or a battle, and he's going to basically get irradiated by a warp core. And he sees himself in that black medical tank thing, and he sees his face all melted. And so that's where this series picks up, is him kind of dealing with that, like knowing what's going to happen to him eventually. And it's pretty interesting because, you know, what we've seen of Pike up until this point, he's very, like I said, kind of lighthearted, adventurous, you know, almost swashbuckling kind of captain. And to see him kind of struggling with knowing his ultimate fate is pretty freaking grim. It's an interesting contrast. And so this episode is about him, you know, reluctantly going back to be captain on the Enterprise, and kind of having to wrestle with the fact that he's ultimately freaking scared of what's going to happen to him, and knowing that he's going to second guess himself and things like that. Yeah, so it's just really fun episode. I love the uniforms. The design of the uniforms is like, you know, pays tribute to the original designs from the original series, but also updated. It's really good. The opening title sequence is awesome. I'm going to try and not cuss in these things, by the way. The opening title sequence is awesome. I love the bringing back the theremin, you know, the woo, it's fucking awesome. There's been some stuff I've seen said about Robert April, who was the original captain of the Enterprise before Pike. And so apparently it's a big deal that they cast a black dude to play Robert April in this, because he appeared like one time in the animated series and was not a black guy. You know, that stuff's stupid. You know me. I think that's dumb. One important thing that we learn in this episode: Spock fucks. It's pretty cool. I mean, we don't see it, but you know, he's about to. He's about to fuck, and then things interrupt. But like I said, Ethan Peck does a great job as Spock. He doesn't try to mimic Leonard Nimoy or Zachary Quinto or anything. He does his own thing, but he still captures the vibe of Spock. The Enterprise looks amazing. Once again, like the uniforms, it's, you know, clearly designed after the original, but it's, you know, the detail that's done to it, and, you know, a few little tiny adjustments here and there just make it it's so awesome. It's good. There's a new character named Laan Noonien Singh, who I assume, based on the name, is an ancestor of Khan Noonien Singh, or a descendant rather. And the actress that they got for her, she really reminds me of, if anybody's watched The Expanse, like for a minute I was like, is that Drummer from The Expanse? No, it's not her. She just looks very similar, and she uses like really dark eyeliner like Drummer does in The Expanse. And, you know, Drummer being one of my favorite characters on The Expanse, I don't mind seeing a character that kind of reminds me of her. She's a little intense like Drummer too. Uhura, we see Uhura. She's you know, kind of just getting started. I don't know the actress's name offhand, but the little bit we see of her in this first episode, she's doing a great job. Lieutenant Kirk is mentioned early in the episode, that we're going to see Lieutenant Kirk. And, you know, because I'd seen that there was a casting announcement that they got a new guy playing James Kirk, that's who I assumed it was going to be. And then at the end of the episode, it's not. It's Samuel Kirk. And I haven't looked into that. I don't know if that's a brother or cousin or who that is, but it was kind of a misdirect. I don't know where they're going with that. But yeah, like I said, Captain Pike is distant. You know, in this, he's clearly, his mind's occupied on what he saw in his future. And that's kind of a liability. There's a really good conversation between him and Spock where he tells Spock what his experience was seeing his future. And, you know, Spock tells him, there's a quote that I wrote down. Spock tells Pike that suffering can be transformed into insight, which I thought was a really good quote. There's a few really great quotes in here. But yeah, so Spock is basically telling him, yeah, you know, you saw something that you have to reckon with, and it's scary and it's terrifying and stuff, but like what benefit can you gain from it? And I really relate to that, because I do think it's important with, you know, unfortunate, even tragic situations, circumstances, suffering, etc., that there are ways that you can find to utilize it, to benefit from it. It's not always easy. And that doesn't mean that like it's okay to cause suffering or anything like that. But, you know, if that stuff happens to us, I think it is important to find a way to utilize it. The effects are terrific. Like I said, the Enterprise looks amazing. You know, the shots in space and everything, just sublime, perfect. Like some of the best Star Trek looking stuff you can ever see. It looks just as good as, you know, like the J.J. Abrams films, and how good the effects were in those movies. But yeah, it's really just a perfect episode of Star Trek. It's adventure, there's lightheartedness, there's also some intense moments. It deals with them engaging with an alien race for the first time, kinda. They think it's the first time, and then they realize that it's not. Not going to spoil anything. A couple of great quotes out of context. I'm not going to tell you what the context, but screw General Order 1. It's a really good quote. And take me to your leader. Both said by Pike. Awesome. Like, he's got the best quotes. Oh, one thing that I'm sure if I look online right now, I'm going to find some people upset about is there's a point toward the end of the episode where, see how I can say this without spoiling much. We see glimpses of the past from Star Trek's perspective, right? So, and it's our past too. But we see some footage where they're talking about how the United States of America went to shit. And some clips we see are clearly from the January 6th insurrection, which I was like, wow, bold move, Star Trek. But yeah, I'm sure if I look online right now, I'll see some people upset about that. But I think it's awesome. The weaving in real history and like that. I love that kind of stuff. Anytime you can take science fiction and weave in, actual history in a way that makes it make sense, I think that elevates the medium of science fiction even more. In general, I'd say, like I said, this is the best first episode of Star Trek I've ever seen, and I've seen all of them multiple times. I'm really looking forward to this season, this show. I think anybody that thinks that Star Trek hasn't been great lately, with the new Trek shows aren't for them or whatever, if that's your thing, that's what you think, that's fine. As long as it's not because woke or whatever, then it's understandable that you might think, oh, this isn't the same vibes that I'm used to from Star Trek. But I would recommend giving this a shot. I think this is a return to form, and it also embraces the kind of new direction that Star Trek shows have been taking. I think this is a perfect hybrid of kind of a throwback to Trek and, the modern version of Trek. So check it out.